Shed engineering, but not as you know it. Unused footage of the parallel motion, lining up the beam and making the connecting rod. Hello there, Alan Plum here again from Shed Engineering. In this video I'm just showing some unused footage of the parallel motion and how that was finished, and how I lined up the beam and worked out the position of the cylinder. And we've just got the two radius arms finished. Again, very important to get them exactly the same. Plastic I found laying around that I've drilled out, and obviously they're still a bit tight. I've tried running the flipping drill through, but they're still just so flipping tight. It's just starting to go on, is that. I've been fiddling around. What I've finally done is got a piece of the rod that I'm using for the spindle, and I've put some deep scratches in it. I don't know whether you can see that, but I've just been running that back and forth, and that's actually got some very fine yellow dust on, and those scratches are just reaming them bushes out enough that I'm hoping it'll just ease it enough. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. Let's just hope this one goes on the other end. I say it's only a mock-up just to try it. That's why this has been left long. Even this girder's not properly fixed yet. Oh, look at that. Oh my word. That's really the first time the parallel motion's been working. I've got the radius arms on, and I've got brackets made for the corners. Now at the moment they're just sat there absolutely loose. As you can see, I've got a plumb bob set up that is coming down through the crosshead, which will represent the piston rod, and also what I'm trying to do is line up the beam. Obviously the beam has to be parallel to the centre line, and the centre line is just here, so this straight edge is on the centre line here, and if we follow it through up past the crank, you should see a set square standing up there. Again, that's making sure that the straight edge is following the centre line. That's looking directly down on the straight edge, following it through past the crank. Hopefully there you can see the straight edge on the centre line. we can see the plumb bob hanging down from the crosshead. So that is the crosshead where the piston rod will be connected. The string is going down through that, and as you can see, it's very, very close to the centre line of the engine. Showed pictures of the main bearings for the beam, and I've got some adjustment so the beam could be adjusted to make sure it lines up. So at that point I'm going to pull the straight edge back, and I'm going to lower the plumb bob so that I can actually mark where the centre of the cylinder needs to be. I've now got my set square set up, and a piece of steel that I know is square set up to this floor edge. The plumb bob coming down, so now I can mark on the centre line of the cylinder once the plumb bob has finally settled. Two wooden girders, as I said before, are not fixed. And as you can see, there's no movement in the girder. If anything was binding or twisting, then it would intend to transfer that twist onto the girders. Looking at it from the other side, it would intend to transfer the twist onto the girders and move them, but they're just actually sat in there at the moment. Oh, I haven't put the little bracket on that end yet. So we're looking quite promising. These blocks of wood on this end are just to balance it, because obviously there's a lot of weight with the parallel motion at the other end, and I shall have some lead weights on the inside of the beam. Normally the on engines like this, the connecting rod is solid cast iron, and you'd be surprised how big and bulky they actually were, and part of the reason for that is to act as a counterbalance for the weight of the parallel motion at the other end. On the parallel motion here, if it'll stop for a second, these are just spacers, little bits of aluminium tube, just to keep the rods in position. Again, this is just a little bit of aluminium tube, and the actual axle or rod is going through the middle of that, so they're acting like large washers. Same at the other side. You can see the plastic bushes that I made earlier, and then I've threaded the end of the rod, ground down some small bolts, threaded the end, and that acts as a little stop end. Same on the little stub axle in there, again tapped with a little bolt through. And that just shows how free running she is. Right, let me try and explain how the connecting rod was made. It was just a piece of 2x1 that had got a nice straight grain and no knots, roughly shaped down, and then I made a half round scraper to get the shape as even as possible all the way down the length, then rounded off the ends on the disc sander. I had decided to put roller bearings in each end. I'm sure it's not necessary. I'm sure you could use a plastic bush or something like that and it would work equally as well. But I wanted to cover the roller bearings up, so I made this little recess to take some cover plates which hopefully would then look like bearings. It was just 2mm thick styrene plastic bought from my railway model shop, drilled out and then divided up to make the little cover plates. And this little modelling saw, very fine tooth modelling saw, was ideal for small intricate jobs like that. Then we needed to make a strap for around the end of the connecting rod, and so first I made a former, then heated a piece of this styrene plastic up and forced it into the former, and that gave us quite a nice strap, which was then drilled to take a 3M piece of threaded rod hammered down at one end to represent the cotter pin, and a small screw right at the bottom. A little bit of sanding and the roller bearing could be pushed in. That's just a push fit. Coat of paint on the cover plates, and they just fitted snugly into the recess, and then a coat of silver paint to finish off basically. And there you have the connecting rod and the old MDF crank. Here I'm just starting on the new crank that I made. I actually extended the throw from 2.5 inches to 3 inches, but I haven't got time to show that this time round. So I hope you've enjoyed watching it, hope you found it interesting, and thank you for watching.